be given by my dear colleague Shravan, who's based in Hyderabad and speaks today to us about an overview of the market survey on PERC cell processing equipment. He and his team are just in the final stages of finishing. Shravan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. I'm just trying to share my presentation. You can see my presentation, right? Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Today I'm going to give an overview on what we learned when we are doing our report on Tang News Market Survey on PERC cell processing equipment. The images here, what you are seeing here are the PERC technology reports. We have published starting from 2016. So this really tells our affiliation with the PERC technology, what we have here. So before going into the topic of my presentation, so I would like to briefly give an introduction about our company. So we are actually two companies and we have two platforms. Tang News is an open platform. We publish reports on advanced PV technologies, process consumables, and market surveys. And the key differentiation with Tang News is that it's an open platform. That means all the publications can be accessed for free. And Mishko is our consulting arm through which we provide services, of course, at a fee. So our services include communication, strategy development, and we also provide, we actually go a little bit deep into the subject, as you can already see how much we are deep with our report. So with these paid services, we really cover more extensively on the given topic. Coming to the motivation part, what really inspired us to do this particular survey was production equipment are actually playing a very big role in PV manufacturing in terms of both efficiency and cost. However, PV industry is also extensively evaluating advanced cell architectures. So, but these production equipment related to advanced cell architectures are covered in respective reports published by Tang News. For example, recently we published a report on TOPCon, and our earlier heterojunction report actually covered the specific production equipment that are required for these technologies. On the other hand, PERC is still the workhorse of the today's PV industry, and it is also the technology platform for several expansion plans, especially in emerging markets, for example, in India. So even otherwise, all the expansions that are currently happening, they're also coming with a little asterisk that the future upgrade possibility, that means they're currently focusing on PERC. So at the same time, there are several developments that are taking place with respect to PERC production equipment. So, as an example, a significant one, and one example is really scalability of production equipment to accommodate larger wafer formats. And then there are also some incremental developments. So due to all these reasons, we thought, okay, we should also look into the PERC production equipment. So, as you know, here on the left-hand side, here you see the PERC process flow. While there are actually several process steps involved, actually, Joris has already gave a brief introduction about the process steps. But, as far as this particular survey is concerned, we are only taking 5 steps. So the surface preparation, where you prepare the incoming silicon wafers for further processing. Then the first active step, to form the emitter. In PERC, both the surfaces are passivated and the metallic contacts are applied on both sides, and the process comes to an end with a IV characterization. So unlike the typical TIANG News surveys, we are not covering significant, the one segment completely and significantly, especially when it comes to the number of companies that are taking part in the survey. That's because the number of production tools covered here are more. And but on the other hand, we made sure that the market leaders of every segments are included in each section of the survey, as you can see from the table on the right hand side here. So you can really see the most important or well-known companies of one particular segment of the equipment stream are present here. So a total of 17 companies have responded to survey, and about 55 products specifications are included in the survey. While I mentioned that there are only 5 equipment categories, but when it comes to the tool technology platforms, our survey has covered 8 types of production tools. I would say 8 tables to be rather specific. That is because some processes have different tool platforms. In surface preparation, so there is not only saw damage etching and texturing tools, but there are also PSG-etch and edge isolation tools. Then also in passivation, we have ALD and PCVD for the aluminum oxide deposition. Then we also have PCVD for the silicon nitride deposition. So all in all, we are listing a total of 8 different production equipment categories. Jump one slide. Okay, coming to the surface preparation. That's probably the first process step in the cell lines. Here etching is the ultimate motive. Either it could be a controlled or aggressive. So saw damage etching, texturing, PSG-etch, and edge isolation are the main processes here. Bed benches have been the workhorses for this process, but that's not the only one now, because there is also one tool vendor that is promoting atmospheric dry etching technology, that can work for this application. And the most important one here in the surface preparation is the texturing. So before going into what is the latest, let's have a brief look back. So making texturing process IPA free was one of the most important developments related to texturing. Then improving the bath lifetime was another important development in the texturing section. So earlier, the need to change the chemicals in the alkaline texturing bath was around 5 to 10 runs until 2007. And this has been increased to 30 runs by 2010. And then in the last 7 years, the bath life has been increased to more than 250 runs. So there is also a nice paper from Reina summarizing the advancements, the historical advancements in the texturing process. Then reducing texturing time, which is very important, and right now which is also enabling the current equipment makers to, or current cell makers to reach very high throughputs. Earlier it was 30 minutes until 2017. This has been reduced to 20 to 30 minutes in the following 3 years, as you can see. And then from between 2010 to 2017, it's been reduced from 6 to 10. And right now, I think it's around 5 to 7 minutes. Then coming to the current developments, increasing the throughput by means of a larger batch size, intensifying the cleaning to squeeze more efficiency are some of the major improvements, but I will not go more into details, as Holger from Reina, the next speaker, will dive deep into the subject. I will leave it to Holger. And as an alternative to wet chemical solutions for SADA image etching and texturing, as I mentioned earlier, NINES Photovoltaics has developed atmospheric dry etching. It accomplishes the texturing at atmospheric pressure using fluorine as an etching gas. The thought of fluorine as an etching gas itself rings an alarm about the greenhouse gases. However, 9PV says that the molecular fluorine used by their company has a zero global warming potential. So the company is actually promoting the process for TOPCon application, especially to remove the wraparound. But it also has advantage in PERC. So it's a single side process. That means one can eliminate the red polishing tool, which is typically required. I mean, red polishing step. And the texturing is accomplished at a submicron level. That means around 200 to 300 nanometers, providing higher reflectivities. And the process is also selective. That means etching can be done without disturbing the underlying emitter profile. As for PSG etch and edge isolation tools concerned to PERC, they are also tweaked to do the red polishing, which is required for PERC. The most important trend here is to use the alkaline solutions instead of acidic. Schmidt was the first one to promote such kind of a solution, but now every leading company is promoting one platform with alkaline and one platform with acidic. So, but alkaline chemistry is used at least for the rare polishing, while etching is still done with the acidic solutions. The main benefit to shift from alkaline to acidic to alkaline, even though partly, is to reduce the acid consumption, and actually the motive behind that is to reduce the cost. So acids are not only expensive to buy, but they are also quite a costly affair to dispose them. When it comes to the emitter formation, diffusion is actually the state of the art. In fact, it is the most robust among the process steps used in today's PERC processing. Traditionally, diffusion was accomplished at atmospheric pressure, but SEMCO developed a low pressure diffusion, which is now became a state of the art. Now, nearly everyone is promoting the low pressure diffusion. So one of the major developments here are the ability to process the larger wafers. In early days, larger wafers in diffusion process had some mechanical yield issues, especially not so much when moving from M6 to M10, but from M10 to G12. According to our research, there was a gap of 0.5 to 1% in mechanical yield. I think right now it's all been solved. Now everything is up and running. But again, SEMCO has promoted a horizontal wafer is still promoting a horizontal wafer processing to overcome this kind of issues where you put two wafers into one slot, and because the size is larger, due to any vibrations or the dynamics in the process environment might cause some undesired breakages of the wafer. So to overcome that, SEMCO has proposed that, but right now only one more equipment maker that is following this approach, but the rest are still doing on vertical process. Then the other trends are loading more wafers per tube, and I think SEMCO says they can easily load 1800 wafers, because of this horizontal processing, but SEMCO is not the largest. Ideal deposition, they're even promoting up to 3200 wafers in one board. So I think that's probably the biggest. And then Another important trend that's helping to improve the throughput of the machines is to integrate more number of tubes into one reactor shell. So Centrotherm is actually offering the largest configuration with 10 tubes. So coming to the passivation, actually passivation is the crux of PERC. The major difference between the PERC and the previous state of the art, which is BSF, was full-fledged passivation. So that means you have two surfaces, and two surfaces really receive active passivation schemes. So silicon nitride is on the emitter side, which is done with PECVD. As far as the rare side, aluminum oxide capped with silicon nitride is the typical passivation stack. And as far as the application methods is concerned, aluminum oxide can be applied with ALD, borrowing the technology from semiconductor initially, but it's absolutely tweaked to work for PV. That means high production volumes and reasonably good quality, and most importantly, low cost. So we also have a presentations from Lead Micro, Ideal Deposition, who are going to talk more about these steps more. So the important trends are high film quality, ability to support larger wafer processing, and high throughputs are again the most important trends here. So as I already covered a little bit above, there are basically two methods for the aluminum oxide deposition with ALD. One is a batch type, which is Lead Micro doing, and then there is an inline batch tool from Ideal Deposition. Then the most important advantage of PECVD based process is that it can accomplish all the silicon nitride and aluminum oxide passivation steps in one go. But that's not the only one. Some companies like Singulus, they are even promoting a 3-in-1 configuration. That means all steps are accomplished in one go. That means applying silicon nitride even on the emitter side. And as far as the PECVD systems for silicon nitride deposition alone on the front side, these systems are not very different or apart from the systems used for ALOX. But only Ideal Deposition is somewhat exceptional. So they have a platform that can do SINX on the both sides. So the emitter and also as a capping layer that can work in conjunction with their ALD machine, but not limited to. Coming to the metallization, screen printers have been the workhorse of the metallization process. So dual line processing is actually typical to reach high throughput. Current lines can support up to very high throughputs of 7,000 wafers per hour. At some point of time, screen printers were considered to be a bottleneck for high throughputs because it's an inline process, unlike the other processes which are batch. The trends here are supporting low screen opening that helps in reducing the paste consumption and also reducing the shadowing, and ability to support larger wafers and high throughputs, as I mentioned earlier, are the important points. And screen printing also got a few advanced printing technologies like double printing and dual printing, but right now I think dual printing is a bit famous due to its ability to save on the paste consumption. Coming to the last step of the PERC process chain, which is characterization. The most important differentiation among the tools is the light source philosophy, which is either xenon or LED. So both the technologies have their own good pros and cons, and also good number of followers. So for example, xenon, well known for its robustness, whereas LEDs, they can reduce the OPEX because they have very high lifetime, whereas xenon guys are also trying to catch up to match not match, but to at least to compensate a little bit on the lamp life. The most important technology trends here are again to support the larger wafer formats, and tool suppliers are offering very easy upgrade solutions. And measuring bifacial is one important development in this segment. So you can do it either from the one side or both sides. You can do it separately or combinedly. I think the current industrial practice is to do the front side and also on the rear side only on a random sampling basis and measuring two half cells in one go, I think is one of the most important development in the field of characterization tools. So then here I come to my conclusion. I think a common trend across the board is processing larger wafers, high throughput, improved process effectiveness, and reducing costs. So specific to surface preparation, which is either wet chemical or the atmospheric etching tools, is optimized texture quality, increasing batch size, and intensive cleaning. As far as the diffusion, it's really robust, but higher throughput with more loading, squeezing in more wafers into the reactor is one method, or increasing number of tubes. As far as the passivation, there are actually already different reactor designs are available, but the crux here is the superior passivation quality and higher throughput again. So metallization, low screen opening, and high throughput again are important here. Characterization, bifacial measurement, and testing two cells simultaneously are the most important ones. So here I come to end to my presentation. Thank you very much for your time.
Super, Shravan. Thanks a lot, and stay tuned. The report will be available for download end of this month. Actually, it's almost done. As I mentioned, we just want to integrate some of the news from this event. Okay.